All right, you're welcome back to the show. It is State of the Nation on Energy 105.5 FM, and today we are looking at towards sustainable food security, challenges and prospects. And we have Professor Ogbonna Onyeisi, MNI, who is the program manager of Enugu State Agricultural Development Program, as our guest on the show today. All right, stay tuned. We shall be opening the studio lines, but not right now, because we still need to hear more from Professor Ogbonna. Well, small-scale farmers in Nigeria constitutes 90% of Nigeria's agricultural output, while the majority of such farmers are not able to feed themselves and other relatives. The low productivity is mainly as a result of fragmented landholding, over-reliance on rain-fed agriculture, climate change, as we have just talked about a while ago, low access to input, and poor economic base. Professor Ogbonna, in Enugu State, how all of these things factors are they here with us in Enugu here?
Well, I can say that's why I'm here this morning because being here is a part of our mandate as the Agricultural Development Agency of the state to sensitize the farmers on what to do to increase their production, to increase their income. Because if a farmer does not increase production and doesn't increase income, definitely will be discouraged.
That's right.
And in Enugu here, ENADEP, which is the extension arm of the Federal Enugu State Agriculture, Minister of Agriculture and Agro-Industrialization. So we offer extension services, and the aim of our extension services is to reach to the rural farmers, particularly to see what we can do to help them to increase their production. And I'm happy to tell you that presently the governor we have in Enugu State has been supporting us, has been giving us what we need to be able to reach to all these rural farmers, to sensitize them, and also to give them some of the input which we receive from their both donor agency, from the state governments and the federal government, because ENADEP is a federal policy. Every state has this agency, it's Agricultural Development Program Agency, and what we do, nothing else but to help the farmers to increase their production. And when they increase their production, definitely we have food on our table. And when we have food on our table, definitely we'll be happy to face other challenges we have as people.
So in Enugu State at the moment, are we food secured now?
Yes, based on the government policies. We can't say we are food secured, but we are preparing the ground to be secured, especially.
So what are those enabling efforts that the government, yourself, the office, are putting in place to ensure this happens?
Yes, my office as agents of the state government, we work in collaboration, we work in synergy with the state government policies. And you can see the governor of Enugu State, I keep telling our farmers, has passion for agriculture. And even his manifesto during the campaign has been talking about agriculture as one of the key, as one of the sector that the Enugu State needs to achieve, to grow our GDP, which he promised to grow from $4 billion to $30 billion. Agriculture is the major focus for that, and he has been doing a lot to make sure that agriculture assumed that position. Immediately he came to the office, we have the donor agencies like the International Fund for Agricultural Development, we have the APIS project, we have the ATAPS 1 project, we have the FADAMA. And what he did, few months he entered the office, there were like counterpoint fund areas, all these agencies, donor agencies, and he paid them off. He paid almost 500 million to ATAPS, our counterpart fund in areas for about 7 years. He paid about 270 million for IFAD areas. So, and this is to tell you that we need, this is to show you that this is a governor that has passion to make sure that all these donor agents, agriculture development project comes to the state. Because if you don't pay your counterpart fund, you will not receive more and you will be in the bad credit, which any other projects coming, your state will not receive. So looking at this, you can see that our governor has passion. And also, when you talk about those agricultural products, we have a cooperative advantage, like cassava. Enugu State has established a 3 pilot projects on cassava ethanol project.
Where, and where?
In Aniri local government, and Kano East local government, and Uzowa local government. So it's a pilot project for starting from these 3 local government, and it is a part of the special agro-processing zone policy of the federal government. And the governor has given this, some states are still preparing, but already we have started this pilot project in this local government. And last week we had a stakeholders meeting where we analyzed the development of that process. And when that takes off, that means Enugu State right now cannot even produce enough cassava that is needed for this agro-processing zone. So that's to tell you that the government is doing a lot to make sure that our people are prepared. It's doing a lot to make sure that our people understand what we have, which is agriculture. And he has shown passion for that. And we're working with him. We are doing everything possible to make sure that these government policies are realized, and especially reaching to the rural population.
Okay, now back to you. Earlier on, you made mention of what you referred to what the government has been able to do with regards to paying off the debts owed this donor agent, the counterpart fund, you said.
Right.
So now, Enugu State is at peace with these donor agencies.
Right.
Are they here now?
They're already here. Yes. And the implication of paying all those counterpart funds is that you attract more funds.
Yes.
You attract more donor agency assistance projects. So, and we're expecting more. Right now, we have a new one that the Health Press, which has to do with livestock production. Where is on process is taking us soon, and that is the first livestock production donor agency project that has come to the state. Okay. So we're expecting so many things. That paying off that counterpart fund debt will bring a lot of donor agency agriculture assisted project to the state.
All right. Now, over the years, we've seen where these donor agencies actually came, but then at the end of the day, the question remains: how much of the rural farmers, the farmers themselves who are actually at the field, how much accessibility do they have to these programs and the funds? Accessibility now.
Right.
How accessible?
That is why we're here to tell you that actually most of these donor agency projects is rural farmers focus. And most of the projects, like you look at the appeal project, which has ended or has put, most of the construction, they constructed a lot of processing factory, or you call it, or agriculture processing zones, or processing cluster. Okay. In I think almost the senatorial, all the senatorials are in Enugu states. And it's just that our farmers, they need to own up. They need to take ownership of these things, because if something is established in your environment, it is now left for you, because all these donor projects, they are not permanent. They have a timeline. And when they go, it is now expected that those that benefited will now take off from there. The ATAPS one I was talking about, they are more of rice, which trying to increase the rice production. And when they establish rice processing, so now, and they hand it over to the farmers, the rural farmers. They identified those areas that they will establish all this processing, and they hand it over to the people in those areas. So just to tell you, most of all this is for the rural farmers. And
now that you just taking us to that very food called rice. Enugu State is blessed with rice. I know of Adani rice in Uzowa local government. I know of Uboka rice in Kano East. I think Animri, part of Anim produces rice.
Not Anir is even one of the
major so Prof, what has happened with rice production? Why is Enugu State not producing enough rice to meet the local demands of the people here, and then begin to look at even feeding the Southeast with rice and Nigeria and possibly exporting it.
You know one thing I want to tell you? Enugu State is producing enough rice. That's what we have discovered recently. But what happened is that we don't have enough processing facilities. Okay. So even what you hear about Ebonyi rice, Abakaliki rice, yes, most of all these rice are being cultivated, harvested in Enugu State. They just buy it off and process. The same thing applicable even in Anambra, like those are other areas. The Anambra processor, they will come and buy all those rice and process it. So we are producing enough in Enugu State, and the current government policy is favorable to increase that production. But what I'm telling you that it's just a matter of when we talk about development, most often we leave everything to the government. The citizen must be involved. The citizen must take ownership of these things. So, because if we, as I told you, donor agency, if they establish rice processing machine to farmers, it's not left for the farmers to be courageous enough to assume responsibility, making sure that they process those rice in those processing facilities. And if that is done, I'm happy to tell that Enugu State will produce enough rice that will feed our people and also take into other nearby states. I can't talk about exports right now, but I know that we can feed ourselves. And we can rise from our research, from what's going on. And do you know last Christmas, in Enugu, just in our Ministry of Agriculture here, through the effort of the commissioner, we mocked rice from Aningri, Uzowa, and Nkanu East. So, and we were selling it at the ministry at the cheaper rates and accurate weight. And we sold more than, I think, according to the commission, more than 6,000 bags of rice. So this is just within a month of mobilization, because you can see if we can do that all year round, Enugu can produce rice that can feed our people.
Beautiful indeed, because we know that the cost of rice now in the market, you want to go buy a bag of rice now, you may need to sell a land for you to be able to purchase a bag of rice. So if these things are put in place, certainly we will be better for it. So I wouldn't know if there are other policies, programs, plans of the government, especially with ENADEP. But then before we go to more programs and plans, you made reference to extension services.
Yes.
Extension services. Do we still have extension workers?
Well,
do we still have them?
This is where the challenges are, because most of the extension workers, I think the last employment of extension workers in Enugu State was about 1991. And since then, they have been retiring. So we have shortage of extension workers, because there's a World Bank standard, or at least you have to have one extension workers per 800 farmers. But right now in Enugu State, we're having one extension worker for about 20,000 farmers. So we're in deficit of extension workers.
Grossly insufficient.
Grossly insufficient.
So what's the problem with that?
Well, the problem is that, extension workers, all along, they're just like, civil service mentality, which we have in our society, whereby you just think you are just a civil servant. And the extension workers are the people who are supposed to go to the farm, interact with the farmers, bring technology, teach them new innovation, follow them up. And as I said, government seems to get discouraged with civil service mentality, whereby people, you need to face your work. The station workers are not in the office. They should be to the farmer. So we're encouraging, we have written to the governor, we have tried to say the idea, the need to have more extension workers, because that will help the farmers, and that will help the agricultural production.
Okay.
And but right now, apart from our state, even the federal, the national agency for extension liaison office in Zaria, last year we do have annual meetings, and last year when we went, there's a new policy which been initiated by that National Agricultural Extension License Services, whereby we want to make extension a kind of become a national policy, so that the funding of extension services should be regarded as funding of education, so that the fund, so that it shouldn't be too much to the state. So it is one of the efforts we are making, and it has gone, I think, a lot of process now, so that if we have agric extension policies, it will now help the awareness, the importance of extension services. It will also fund the activity of extension services, so that without extension, my brother, our aspiration for agricultural development is futile.
And that's why we are personally, I am worried about the fact that in the state at the moment we don't have enough extension workers. I just hope the government is going to do something, do the needful with regard to employment of more extension workers, because
there's a need for that, right?
Prof, if you agree with me, there are new methods of farming other than the old ways. It's an old-time religion. If it was good for our fathers, so it's good. There are new methods now.
I agree with you.
New innovations, and this knowledge needs to be, taken down to the rural areas, to the rural farmers who go to the farm every day. For instance, if we take on the issue of nutrition, Prof, I don't know where Enugu State is ranking when we come to nutrition in the country at the moment. And this thing starts with the farming practices.
Good.
Farmers need to know that it's not just enough to plant anything. We need to plant nutritious foods. Do they know these things? And how do they know them? If we don't have extension workers who go down there to talk to them.
Well, in my hand now, I have what is a pamphlet which we have produced. We have started distributing it, and will be distributed to almost through our zonal offices.
Okay.
We call it 2024 Pre-Farming Season Sensitization of Enugu State Farmers. And in that sensitization, we talk about this is land preparation. And because if you don't prepare land very well, definitely you are not going to get a good production, a good harvest. So we talk about issue of soil testing, because you know that we keep on, as you say, we keep on using the same old method our forefathers used. So you need to test the soil, so that you don't just start adding nutrient to soil that is already rich. And we also encourage them to use organic approach, whereby you an organic fertilizer, you prepare it using the compost of your farm or trees and other things. So also in this sensitization, of course, we look at those sustainability of soil, because you can't talk about agricultural production without talking about sustainability of soil. You don't overuse the soil, and you need to give the soil what the nutrients it needs or is lacking. So so it's a package. There's some other advisory note in this pamphlets, which we call advisory note to Enugu State farmers. And, of course, the issue of climate change comes up there. We tell you the rain, the pattern of the rain, for instance, when the rain is going to start, when it's going to end. We tell you about the expected rain length of the year, and also tell you the annual rainfall, the millimeter. So all these are our sensitization activities which we do to help the farmers. And it's just as you said, if we have enough extension workers, they will carry this message as a gospel to our farmers in every nook and corner of the state. And we can see our production, our agricultural production will keep increasing.
Will keep increasing, and then we can now
have the food security you're talking about. And by using a climate smart approach, it can be sustainable.
Okay. I wouldn't know, do we have any other policies of government, any other packages or programs in place from ENADEP from the government, both national, for farmers, do we have?
Yeah, one other program which the governor engaged us immediately came on board was that he wanted to know how many farmers do we have in Enugu State? Where are they? What do they produce? And we started by registering farmers. We encourage, if you are a farmer, come and register. So we finished that registration and registered more than 34,000 farmers across the state. So this policy, why it is going to be effective is that we now want to know who is the farmer. Because
where are you
where are you located? What are you producing? Mm-hmm. That's why even in the station, of course, we have the crop, livestock production information, the modern techniques like piggery and poultry, fishery. Also, the crop, I will talk about crop production. So, and in the piggery, recently there's a federal government policy whereby piggery has been regarded as one of our livestock production strategies. So before it wasn't so. Even the air-press, the new donor World Bank project that has come, piggery is part of the livestock they're looking at. So piggery is one of the area we want to sensitize our people, because piggery is, it's not just about the meat. It can be a big industry. The oil, everything coming from the piggery can be utilized for industrial use as well.
All right. Some interventions have been developed in Nigeria since independence in 1960 to increase crop productivity, generate employment,